April 16th. Palm Bay City Council has the most loaded agenda since the Lotus denial.
And the centerpiece is a question this council hasn't faced before. Do you approve a 2,360-unit development when the city doesn't have the enforcement tools to hold the developer to the conditions staff recommended?
From the Palm Bayer, 3 major decisions on the April 16th agenda. Everlands West, the largest residential project in Palm Bay history, a $40.9 million budget amendment with $2.17 million in error corrections, and the Centerpoint Church rezoning, back for a full public hearing after the March settlement.
Plus a $3 million pedestrian safety project for Emerson Drive. Federal grant, city match. That one matters because of what else is on the agenda. We'll get there.
Start with Everlands West. Millrose Properties, the land spin-off Lennar created and listed on the NYSE, wants to build 1,600 single-family homes, 493 townhomes, and 267 apartments on 1,198 acres along St. John's Heritage Parkway.
This parcel isn't new. Council rejected a land use amendment for it back in May 2023, 1-3 vote. The developer spent 3 years reworking the application.
On April 1st, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval, 4-1. Board member McNally dissented. But P&Z is advisory. They don't approve or deny. They recommend. Council makes the call.
And here's what Council has to weigh. The P&Z recommendation came with conditions on police, fire, and transportation, but those conditions get resolved later in the development agreement after Council approves the project.
Council is being asked to approve the project now and figure out public safety later.
So what does later look like? Palm Bay has 206 sworn officers. National benchmark for a city this size is 340. That's a 40% shortfall.
Fire response to the Parkway corridor runs 7 minutes 30 seconds to 7 minutes 55 seconds from the nearest station. The NFPA 1710 target is 4 minutes.
Station 8, the one that would close that gap, budgeted at $1.85 million this year, $10.28 million next year. It doesn't exist yet.
And the city is working on a comprehensive plan amendment to codify level of service standards for police and fire for the first time. That amendment is tabled, pending a police consultant study, 12 weeks out.
So the enforcement mechanism that would give those conditions legal teeth, it doesn't exist either. Council votes on Everlands West before those standards are adopted.
Now, this council denied Lotus unanimously on March 19th, 5-0. They cited fire response times and police capacity shortfalls in the southern corridor.
Deputy Chief Spears told Council that Priority 2 response times in the South District average 8.5 minutes on 17,000 calls per year. A fire official confirmed Station 9's response to the Lotus site runs about 12 minutes against a 4-minute target.
Same public safety gaps exist with Everlands West. Different corridor, but the numbers aren't substantially different. Same police staffing gap, fire response in the Parkway corridor is nearly double the proposed standard.
So Council drew a hard line on Lotus. The question for April 16th, do they hold that line or accept deferred conditions on a project nearly twice the size?
The roads are part of that question. At full build-out, the Parkway corridor would carry more than 116,000 daily vehicle trips.
Emerson Drive, the road that serves Everlands directly, already projects 143% of its design capacity. The signal studies the board required, they measure where signals are needed, not whether the road can handle the traffic.
And in 2024, Council repealed the Proportionate Fair Share program. That was the formula that required developers to offset their infrastructure impact. No floor, no formula, no precedent for a project this size.
So the conditions don't have a formula behind them. The level of service standards are tabled. The development agreement, where conditions get formalized, doesn't happen until after Council says yes.
Now, Centerpoint Church, Ordinance 2025-44, returns for a full quasi-judicial hearing. Centerpoint wants to rezone 10 acres from rural residential to RS1 for a 41-lot subdivision to fund a church expansion.
Council denied the original RS2 application 4-1. Centerpoint went to state mediation. The settlement allows the amended RS1 application. If Council had rejected the settlement, the church could have invoked the Live Local Act and built multifamily without Council approval.
The Budget Amendment, Ordinance 2026-09, final reading. Net effect is a $40.9 million reduction. Road project closures, paving adjustments, a $3 million FDOT agreement for the Malabar Road widening.
With a line that deserves a second look, $2.17 million in corrections for budget entry errors from when this year's budget was assembled. That's not a policy change. Those are mistakes.
And that Emerson Drive safety project,
$3 million for sidewalks and lighting, funded by a $2.4 million federal grant.
Council is approving a safety project for a road and a development that puts that same road at 143% capacity in the same meeting. That tells you something about how the city is managing two problems on the same corridor.
The April 16th meeting starts at 6 p.m. at City Hall. Read the full article at thepalmbayer.com.
This is the Palm Bayer.